welcome back to our channel. This is an example of how I put on my fall arrest harness. To start off with, I want to show you the shock absorbing lanyard. Now I have two. This one is where it's all wrapped up, and when it gets used, it lengthens from the 4 feet out to 6 feet. And here you'll see the dates and everything of the lanyard. Anything older than 5 years should be thrown away or properly disposed of. Now the second one is the identical type of lanyard. It's attached to the harness now. It's the one that I prefer. Either one doesn't matter. It's 4 feet but extends to 6 feet. And again, this is what the tag looks like. You want to inspect these things. You want to inspect everything every single time you use it, because you want to look for rips. You want to look for any stresses. And if it's already been used, in case you weren't paying attention or something and it got used, or something got caught and it got pulled, you want to make sure that you catch that before you actually put it back into use. Again, throw it away. That's why I have two, just in case. Now I'm putting on the safety harness, as you see here. And before I started, I shook it out to make sure everything just kind of hangs and dangles, and it's all one just kind of draped and dropped together. The first thing that I usually put on is the chest, but I don't tighten it. Sometimes I'll loosen it as I'm taking it off. And then next thing I'll do is put on my left leg and then the right leg. And I make sure these are tight and make sure these are nice and proper in the appropriate position. For men or for women, mostly for men, because we've got a twig and berries to watch out for. We want to make sure that these things are tight. You'll see a lot of people walking around with this and they will be just kind of loosey-goosey. But if they ever have to use that harness to save themselves, things might get bunched or caught or ripped or something, and we don't want that to happen. So I always wear mine nice and tight, and that way I never have to worry about it. So now I'm on to the right leg, just tighten it up, and then I will check the tension. And I want to make sure I can only get my hand through it. My trainer actually said 3 fingers is as tight as you want to go. I do about a hand so I can get my hand through it. If it's tight, that's good. And that's where I keep it at, and I make sure I always keep it at that. Now something I do with the lanyard after, and I make sure it's hooked to me, and the extension part goes to me, and then the longer part of it actually gets on whatever surface I need to be, through the hook or a rope or something like that. In this case today we'll be using a rope that I just happen to have because I don't have anything better. But I make sure I have everything nice and tight, so when it has to be used, I don't have to worry about it shifting or it undoing or something of that sort. I make sure that the harness itself is as safe and as tight as possible. Now in this video, I'm doing a bunch of knots. Don't pay attention to any of that. These are just random examples. Now, the other part of this, after you got the harness on and the lanyard's attached to the harness, you grab something solid that will not be moved. Now in this case, I'm using my Jeep that's in my backyard. This thing does not move. It's got blocks on the tires. It's in gear. It's got the e-brake on. Like, it's not going anywhere. So I just threw a double knot on there. Again, don't use this knot. Like, this is not a safe knot. I just wanted to use it as a point for reference in saying that, hey, always have a solid object to tie off to. Now, I'm using the wrong ladder here. You guys will know that because you have to have a ladder that goes 2 feet above the roof line. Preferably, it would be nice if I have it around 4 feet. Now, I walked up the ladder with my camera and my saw. Don't do that either. Walk up, then have a rope that goes down to grab the tools. I'm showing a lot of bad examples of what not to do, because I am the perfect example of what not to do. Now, there's a ton of rope here, more than I need. You don't want the pendulum effect, which I'll do in another video, to take place. So I bring all the rope up that's possible, that's loose, and then I know what I need to arrest my fall before I fall. So I take what rope I do have, as you see here, so probably a good 50 feet. Am I going to cut the rope? No, definitely not. What I will do, and this is my personal preference, I'm not saying it's correct and I'm not saying it's wrong, I will put a knot in the rope that cannot be undone, and then I'll pull all the extra through that knot. So now there's no way that knot could come undone, and then this becomes the new rope length because I put a giant knot in between all of it. And that way, when I go to the edge of the roof, and that's as far as I want to be able to go, it will stop me from going any further. And that is the whole point of this. Sorry about the wind, guys, but thanks for watching. This is how you put on a harness. Make sure you don't have more than about a hand width. It's cold up here, that's why I'm stuttering. But a hand width to be able to pull it through. Make sure it's all nice and tight, and make sure that you're safe if you ever fall. This is just how I do it with this rope, what I have available with me. There are better ways to do this. Do not take what you see here. Do not take what you see here as gospel. This is just an example if you want to tighten on. Now, there's a lot of things that go into this. It's just how to put on a harness and how I do it. Again, all about trying to be safe. So I've made it so that the rope is only long enough for me to reach the edge of the roof before the harness starts to engage. And you see here, I pull at the rope with my arm to make sure that I can feel the rope as I'm walking, and I'll know that if it's caught on something. So I go back up, reset the rope, and then I go back to work. And again, this rope can only get me to the edge of the roof. Now this is what we came up here to take a look at and make sure that it does not continue to damage the eavesdrop. So this is the whole point of the video. Here's video evidence of the snow and the ice and everything I'm working with. Never work in these conditions, ever. While I was up here, I also decided to clean out the gutters because, well, they were full of gunk and debris from the tree. I did not intend for that to rhyme, but it did, and I'm okay with that. Anyways, moving on to the next part of the video. See the snow coming down now. So that's the gaping hole. I'm thinking about cutting off the tops if I can get high enough up. I have a 15-foot chainsaw for that one, a mini saw. Let's go on the other side. This side doesn't look too bad, and it will fill in. If you get around here, that doesn't look too bad either. It is what it is. We have reached the end of our video. As you'll see here, I re-inspect all the lanyards, I fold them up, and I put them back into the bag. I do the same thing with the harness and the other lanyard. Now you'll see with the other lanyard, I fold it up, put it back into the bag. Now with my harness, I let it dangle, jangle, and then I fold it up gently, put it back into the bag. Nothing is going to go perfectly in this, and you just want to be as good as possible. Now another thing that I found is that people like to label their harness. Don't do that, guys. You need a special marker to do that, otherwise it will hurt the fabric and cause it to prematurely wear. Don't do it. So you guys saw my thumb earlier? How I did it is on this. this little plastic piece here. I was trying to get it open, and I was holding it down here, and I finally got it to get loose, and I got my thumb right into the plastic. Just a little cut like that. Looks worse, or it did look worse than it was. Not a big deal, just a warning. I usually cut these things off, and then this is the reason why.